We're deep in the mountains of northwest Georgia to find a lesser-known piece of Appalachian America. So come along as we go from south to north through the Georgian Appalachian Mountains. This plaque marks the start of the Appalachian Trail. Right now, we're standing on Mount Oglethorpe, which was for decades the original southern terminus or start of the Appalachian Trail, the legendary 2,200-mile nature footpath known across the entire world. So, why is it, after nearly 30 years, was the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail moved from Mount Oglethorpe to north of us at Springer Mountain in Georgia? Well, guys, it is just above freezing today. It is frigid here. We're joined today by Cheyenne. She packed a ridiculous amount of stuff to come on this road trip with me. And you know the one thing she didn't pack? Warm clothes. Cheyenne, come on, what do you have to say about this?
Well, you know what? I didn't think about it.
I mean, what else are you gonna say? For well over 100 years, the unregulated timber industry was stripping the mountains bare of their tree coverage from the New England region all the way down to the southern Appalachians, not just causing widespread damage to the ecological wildlife, but also causing disastrous floods, which was killing many Americans in this time period. Think about an avalanche, with nothing stopping it but gravity, with no tree coverage and plant life to keep the soil rooted down, and for nothing for the water to seep into. This was the catastrophe that was causing disastrous floods up and down the East Coast, causing millions and millions of dollars in damage and much human life. As you can see behind me, because of the height of this mountain in relation to some of the other mountains in the area, looks like they are using it for cell phone towers. This is the death of the legendary Mount Oglethorpe, now used to just give us all cell phone service. Mount Oglethorpe was originally chosen as the southern terminus for the Appalachian Trail because it was originally assessed to be the southern tip of the Blue Ridge mountain chain. Now, unfortunately, like I mentioned before with the timber industry, the reason that they had to move Mount Oglethorpe, the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail, to Springer Mountain, which is just 20-30 miles north of here, is because of the logging, because of the overdevelopment. This site, this mountain, was too accessible for people, and because it was almost impossible the time period to get some of these lands protected so nobody could develop on them, they decided to move the southern terminus to Springer Mountain because it was much more inaccessible. The chances of it being developed or being logged was much, much lower. I honestly do not know if I'm supposed to be up here, but there's a shelter or structure on the top of Mount Oglethorpe, and I can't tell. It doesn't look incredibly old. It doesn't look like it was one of the original shelters that they built back in the 30s and the 40s, the Civilian Conservation Corps. Looks like it's somewhat recent here, but unfortunately it looks like the door's locked and there's no way to get in here. I don't know if anybody's staying in here, so I'm gonna get out of here, but before I get kicked off of Mount Oglethorpe. As well, there's not much to see here. It's been pretty much developed since then. We're gonna go ahead and head to Amicalola, which is the start, the unofficial start where the approach trail is to get up to Springer Mountain. Before you get to the peak of Mount Oglethorpe, where they have a couple trails that you can walk around and see where the southern terminus used to be, they have placards here with information about the Native Americans that used to live in the area. Not too far from here is the start of Cherokee National Forest, of course named after the Cherokee people who were forced off their land to the Midwest, besides the ones who could escape and get into the mountains, which is why they have a Cherokee reservation not too far from here in North Carolina, I believe. Great example right here. You can see the American soldiers. I know this is pretty hard to see, but you can see the American soldiers leading off the Native American people off their land and marching them away. Oh dear. They don't have an attendant. They make you pay for parking, and it has to be in cash. Used all my cash in North Carolina. Great. All right. Well, let's see what's gonna happen. Maybe the visitor center knows something about all this. I am literally getting lost around here. I've seen stuff online about this place, but it is way more confusing in person. Hello. Hey, so what's the deal with the parking? Like the hike-in is $5 to park there? Like how exactly
No,
does that work?
the parking pass is just gonna be $5 just as your entrance fee into the park.
Do you deposit the $5 like when you drive in or on the way out?
Yeah, the kiosk person would normally ask you for $5, and then if you can't pay them the $5, you come and pay me the $5, and I give you your parking pass here.
Okay, so you can get the $5 parking pass here.
Yes.
Okay, just checking. I'll be back.
All right.
We hit terrible traffic on the way to Georgia. It's a race against the sun. The sun is going to be setting here shortly. I'm trying to... Oh gosh, guys. I am really glad that I came before starting my thru hike, because to be honest with you, it is very confusing here. Looks like the archways are right over here. I feel bad for the people that are starting their thru hikes right now, because there is a bunch of construction right over here blocking the archway. Right now you have to get your tags, a trailer, and man, you know, when I start mine in just a few weeks, I probably gonna have to do the same thing. Behind me, the famous stone archways to the start of the approach trail to get up to Springer Mountain, the southern terminus, the start of the Appalachian Trail. In front of me, construction.
This is where I belong.
She is over the age of 18, folks. Don't worry about that. The one thing that you do outside the car, slide down a slide. Yeah, it's always good to travel with somebody that keeps you young. The first shelter most hikers encounter along the approach trail. It's not technically the first shelter along the Appalachian Trail, because it's right at the start of the approach trail right here. This is what your standard shelter looks like. You have 2 stories here, wooden structures. Generally there are three sides to them, back 2 sides. Most of the time there is not a front like this one. Definitely not a front with a mesh here to stop the bugs from coming in. Bunch of graffiti, very common in shelters. Sometimes at night, if you have nothing better to do, just reading the graffiti along these shelters keeps you more than entertained. Down below the lodge, the approach trail with all the construction, we decided to come up to the lodge and check it out. So let's go inside and see what it looks like. The famous view from the Amicalola Lodge. What a beautiful little merch store they have here. There's nobody behind the desk. The inside of the lodge is pretty nice. I haven't decided if I'm gonna stay here when we come back down before I start my thru hike. Well, not to be a negative Nancy, guys, you have to understand, I've seen pictures online, I've seen videos online about this lodge for years and years now. And let me tell you, most of the time pictures don't lead, pictures leave some for the imagination, as they say, or, pictures don't do the view justice, but honestly, videos of the lodge and everything like that make it look way more. The lodge is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say it's everything it's cracked up to be. And this is coming from somebody who's been looking forward to seeing this lodge for a long time. It's pretty nice though, it's pretty nice. The lodge has hosted a lot of celebrities and famous people throughout the years, including Robert Redford. And when they were filming A Walk in the Woods, everybody knows A Walk in the Woods, almost everybody affiliated with the AT knows A Walk in the Woods. Interestingly enough, the majority of A Walk in the Woods was actually not even filmed on the Appalachian Trail. It was filmed outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Go figure. We're getting back on the open road. Although Amicalola Lodge is incredibly nice, it's a little bit too nice for me, if you know what I mean. So we're gonna head a little bit north on the way to our next destination. I'll see you when we get to the hotel. Well, we found ourselves in Cherokee County in a small town called Murphy, North Carolina. Shout out to any of you out there that are from here or from this area. We just checked into the hotel. We're on our way to the Smoky Mountains. So I'll see you next time.